It's 2022, and it's time for baseball. And we're going to give you a guide to the top baseball prospects, their Bowmans, and which ones you should collect in based on the going price right now. So we've taken data from Fangraphs, Baseball America, and we put together a list of guys that are marked the most talented in the MLB. And then we kind of research their price to let you know if we think it's a good buy or not. Now, it's up to you, obviously, to take this information and use it and buy these guys if you want. Don't hold me accountable if a guy that I say is good all of a sudden is out of the league and he's maybe playing badminton somewhere. I don't know. Just don't hold me accountable for that. But been collecting baseball prospects since 2009, so usually kind of have a keen eye on some of this stuff. Some of the factors I look at if you're just jumping into this thing is to look at position. Catchers typically don't sell. Pitchers typically don't sell. There is a price for everything. Team helps too. So if a guy's on a big market team, it definitely gives him a jump early at the beginning. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over my top 10 prospects for 2022. We're going to start with O'Neal Cruz. 2016 Bowman Chrome is where he was in. He was in a Dodgers uniform. He is a Pirate now. He is 6'7" as a shortstop, which is insane. And his prices have been picking up. It might be too late once you see this, but at $500, it might be worth a shot. Now, a lot of Pirates don't sell, so you have to consider that, but $500, maybe if you get a chance of getting a low-numbered color, that would be a good place to go. But as far as ripping boxes, he's in 2016 Bowman Chrome. So you're not going to be able to try to rip him because you're going to be trying to get Fernando Tatis and Vlad Guerrero, and you're going to have to take a second mortgage to get one of those boxes. So, but if you're chasing him on eBay, O'Neal Cruz, our number 10. Our number 9, we are going to go with the pitcher. Like I said before, it's hard to want to buy into pitchers where really only Clayton Kershaw over the last 15 years and maybe Strasburg for a year has ever sold really well. Now, there's been some pockets of like Shane Bieber's first Bowman. There's been some, when Casey Mize got drafted, he threw a no-hitter. There's little pockets with pitchers, but long-term, usually a pitcher winds up probably hitting the DL at some point and typically doesn't hold long-term as opposed to some power hitters. But for $324 for Grayson Rodriguez of the Orioles, I think the Orioles are, they've got some prospects in place with Adley Rutschman, and, Grayson Rodriguez seems to be the real deal at $324. Maybe you can get even less. Not a bad buy for a pitcher to take a chance on. Maybe he throws some heat a couple games and gets up there in the stat rankings. What do you guys think? Is there ever a time to, I know Shohei Ohtani's a pitcher and he sells. He's a little different scenario. But will pitchers ever sell? Where do we got to be?
I think we go through cycles here. I think right now we are in that hitter cycle. If you want a position player. Again, pitchers, you're going to see them once every 5 days. So.
And we got Leiter and Rocker maybe coming up, so maybe shedding some more light on some pitchers. Maybe at some point there will be something that pushes the needle and pitchers start to close that gap between hitters. Cody, what are your thoughts on pitchers in Bowman?
Yeah, I think you're right that Leiter feels like the guy. It is going to take like a number 1 pick or like a highly touted guy. The fact that Leiter is obviously a son of a former major leaguer, I think really works well in his favor. But looking at the price for Grayson Rodriguez, who, could have a great major league career, if I'm looking at that price, I'd rather go after maybe like a Jacob deGrom, like a rookie or a rookie card, or something else. Maybe a Max Scherzer as well. Go with a veteran guy who is a Hall of Famer, and drop basically the same amount, if not a little bit more, for those guys. That to me is a safer bet.
Absolutely. Now this one probably should have hit the cutting room floor, but Josh Jung, torn labrum, going to be out for the season. But I had him ranked at number 8 just because of his price, $200 on Texas, known for power. Probably going to be lower now, so it might be a scenario where you can get one of his base at $100, maybe raw even less. Maybe people will have him at shows for even better deals. So it might be worthy of a quick $50 bill or $60 bill to go ahead and stack some Josh Jung. Moving on to the next. I've got a catcher, which is also a controversial Bowman guy to invest in, but Francisco Alvarez at $250. He's in 2020 Bowman Chrome. Also, to give you guys a quick heads up, if you're new in this hobby, there is 3 different Bowman releases a year. So make sure you're looking at the right wax if you're thinking about ripping. There's flagship Bowman that comes out at the beginning of the year. There is Bowman Chrome, which comes out towards the middle of the year. And then at the end of the year, there's Bowman Draft. Bowman Draft typically has your most first rounders. Bowman Regular tends to have the bigger names, like your Jason Dominguez, your Bobby Witts. And your Bowman Chromes tend to have your more international prospects. Hence why 2016 has Tatis and Vlad, stellar year, international prospects, and it worked out. But this guy's in 2020 Bowman Chrome. Francisco Alvarez at 250. I think the Mets are starved to be on the right track. They're trying. I know they've had some controversy with some of their ownership, but they're making moves. They're trying to be there for the New York fans, and I think this is a key part of it is Francisco Alvarez. And at 250, I don't think it's a bad bet for a catcher. Now, moving on to the next guy, we've got Anthony Volpe for the Yankees. And I'm saying don't buy Dominguez, buy Volpe. I think this guy is more ready. He's a shortstop, got a lot of flash, showing some power in spring. People are talking about him. I got a text from somebody saying, did you pull the superfractor of Volpe? I said, we did. And I didn't even remember doing it, but we did it. And he's ranked low for me for that reason. I think this is an example of anybody that plays on the Yankees that shows any kind of flash. Jason Dominguez didn't even play a game, and he was selling well. So Volpe's actually playing well, and I think this is a decent buy at $800 to get in there. And keep in mind, if you're on a budget, you can buy the non-autograph versions of these as well for significantly less. And, stack these as well if $800 is too much. But Volpe, Yankees. Is Yankees the team, Dan, that you want your prospect to be on?
Yeah, but I'm going to have to disagree with you. I think it's a great time to buy Jason Dominguez. He is touted to be a generational talent with pop, and I know he didn't make your list, but I'm going to throw it in there. Jason Dominguez at a little bit north of $1,000 for his first Bowman. That's who I'm going with. Not taking anything away from your boy Volpe.
Yeah, I just thought Jason Dominguez what's his batting? It's been bad, right? He hasn't.
His first year.
Cody, what do you think?
His first year in professional ball was tough, but that does not mean the intangibles I think are there.
Yeah, I think we all kind of, when I say all, sort of collectively in the hobby, we all jumped the gun a little bit, I think, on Jason Dominguez, and he could be really good, and I also think there's just the burden of expectation for him. Talked about it before, that even if he is a very good player who goes to the All-Star game and maybe hits 400 career home runs, like, that's a great career, but, like, that's not good enough for the prices that people paid to invest in him. For my money, I would go with Anthony Volpe just because there's so many things going for him there. One, he's gained a ton of momentum, just shot up in every prospect rankings, and he's a New York Yankee playing shortstop.
I know, and I think that works against him.
Yeah, I mean, it could be the same thing with Dominguez, where the expectations are going to be so high, and everybody
you're expected to be essentially you're gonna replace the Yankee.
Yeah.
And you can find Volpe in 2020 Bowman Flagship, the first release of the year, along with Jason Dominguez and Bobby Witt as well. So that's a big set, and those are very, very pricey. But I feel like, instead of buying a box, I might just buy a single of Volpe, an auto right now before it goes up. Now, my number 5 is controversial because he's number 1 on a lot of people's lists. But I think in terms of prospects, because he's a catcher, I can't give him the number 1 spot. It's the 2019 Bowman Draft, Adley Rutschman. So Adley Rutschman's been number 1 on a lot of people's list. Very talented, great hitter, expected to be probably the face of the Orioles coming up. And that's why I said with the Grayson Rodriguez, the Orioles have some talent in their farm system that kind of translates to them being good. And this is going to be the guy that's leading the charge. But if you look over the history of Bowman, Buster Posey doesn't sell well. Won 3 championships, doesn't matter. You look at Joe Mauer, doesn't sell. Yadier Molina, kind of sell. So there's been no history of any catcher doing well. So I think even at the $1,200 price, I don't think I'm buying. In fact, I have a blue Adley Rutschman I should probably sell. But he is ranked 5. I would monitor him. But, buyer beware on catchers until the pendulum swings on those. Number 4, which I would be ranking lower if his price wasn't so high, because I was able to go to the Bowman Transcendent party and listen to him talk, and he answered questions. and just a very personable guy, very genuine, nice guy, a California kid as well, a Giants fan. So I would have ranked him a lot lower, but his price is a little scary for me at $2,200, and that's Spencer Torkelson, which he's also in Chrome Draft 2020. So you can get his and chase his card there. But I feel, March 17th, and this data is courtesy of Card Ladder, at $2,200. It's a little steep for me to buy in. No doubt he's a talent. No doubt I think he's going to be good. Tigers are another team that I kind of compare to the Orioles as far as upcoming talents. And then I've got Julio Rodriguez in the number 3 position, which this is his year. I believe he's going to be on the Mariners, with Kelnick and a lot of talent around him. And people are going crazy. I think $1,500 is the right price for him. But he's also, I feel like we've been trying to chase him for a long period of time. What are your thoughts on Julio Rodriguez?
Like you said, this is his year. I think he's going to get a full opportunity to show what he has. And we just met him at the Tops event, and he seems like a really good kid. And he's built, man. He looks like he can hit.
I've been picking the Mariners to make it for 10 years. So at some point, I think I made a prediction back in when we were recording from our kitchen table that the Mariners were going to win something
they got a tough
because
division.
they've always had prospects. They've always had top prospects. And I feel like maybe we're finally at that position where they have the right kind of talent. Logan Gilbert's a phenomenal pitcher. They've got, Kelnick. They've got Julio. They've got there's a couple other prospects that are that I'm thinking of that I can't that are on the tip of my tongue.
Don't forget about the guy who won the Rookie of the Year in 2020, Kyle Lewis, and I like the moves they made. Jesse Winker getting there, Eugenio Suarez just kind of eating that contract. Guy led the National League in home runs a couple of years ago. Robbie Ray, the guy who won the Cy Young last year, so they're going for it. I do wonder with Julio Rodriguez. How quickly, where are they going to find room for him really is now the question with Winker on the team. I guess he'll get DH at bats mostly. Winker will. So maybe that's where you put Rodriguez.
And maybe is J-Rod a lock to come up? Maybe they keep getting him mature down there too. You know?
I don't think he's on the opening day roster. I'm pretty sure about that. I cannot see that happening, especially they have a lot of guys already. You got to find room for some of these outfielders. So maybe they try things out here for the next couple months. Maybe come May or June, if things aren't working out with one of the outfielders, then you make room for Julio Rodriguez.
Did they change the Rule 5, or are we still doing that, where you have to wait 2 or 3 weeks?
I would have to look it up.
I think that really affects some of these guys.
I think we kept it. I think the Players Association, for whatever reason, let that go.
Because that really a lot of people that are fans don't really think about how much that affects, but it definitely affects your Bowman cards because the guy has to wait 3 or 4 weeks to start the season, where if he started at the beginning of the season, he already has those 3 to 4 weeks of major league pitching, not just jumping in the middle of the season when some of the other guys are already seasoned, right? So, it happened with Chris Bryant. Chris Bryant was batting like .450 in spring, and he got demoted just because of that stupid rule. So you may see that with some of these guys that we're talking about before they come up, because a lot of these guys are low draft picks or they're owed a lot of money, and it's one of the ways for the teams to skirt the money. Now, at number 2, I got the most expensive guy on this list, Bobby Witt Jr., a recent Bowman Chrome. He's in 2020 Bowman as well with Dominguez and with Volpe that we just have on this list as well at $2,900. $2,900 for a base Bowman Chrome PSA 10 on-card auto of Bobby Witt. I think that is crazy. I want this guy to be good. Cody showed me a video of him having a swing almost identical to Trout, and I'm excited for that. But that is a lot of money. And which Royals guy in the past has ever sold besides maybe Bo Jackson? And we didn't have autos back then.
I'm looking at 2020 Bowman. That product, if you have it, you may want to hold on to it, because you're looking at Bobby Witt Jr., you're looking at Jason Dominguez, you're looking at Robert Puason, you're looking at Volpe, and that's loaded.
There's a few other guys that we're not even talking about.
Loaded,
it'll probably pop up. So yeah,
and a great design. I love that 2020 Bowman design. So I'm actually $3,000 for a base Bobby Witt Jr. I would have never thought it was that much. I would have probably said 18 to $2,000.
He's really jumped in the last 3 or 4 months. It's been a lot of people, a lot of prospect people have been pushing their money towards him as a blue chip, making him a blue chip investment. I haven't seen enough. I mean, I want him to be good. Being on the Royals scares me. It's also a little bit smaller frame of a guy. So is he going to be able to? We all know that prospects that sell are guys that hit home runs. I mean, you make it to the bigs, you hit home runs. That's what you need to do, right? And I know he does have power, and that's great. But I just don't know if he's going to be a 40, 50 home run guy. And he's on the Royals. I mean, we're starving for a Royal prospect, and I know we talked about the Rays before Wander get there as a ghost town for players, but and it could change depending on the
Wasn't
players.
always that way though. Remember Christian Colon? remember
Nobody does.
Bubba Starling?
That's right. Bubba
Actually,
Starling.
who I think just retired, right?
I that sounds right. I was gonna say maybe Alex Gordon's the other one that's a success, and again,
Or Moustakis.
right.
Eric Hosmer?
Hosmer, yeah.
But none of these guys
I
had
mean, loaded.
That team won a World Series.
Salvador Perez.
Salvi Perez, who actually was underrated last year. How many?
Yeah, I
like
mean,
40 home runs last year.
I
Right?
would,
Allegedly.
now saying that I'd rank the Royals in like the top 5 prospect like teams in legacy. They're great.
I mean, if you had this card, are you selling right now, or you're like, I'm gonna hold and wait?
I think you hold until he gets called up because right now it's an early spring. In a way, a short spring might actually benefit him because I think the Royals want to find an excuse to get him on this roster as soon as possible. He'd be a draw. He looks great. It's just shot through the minor league system. So if he can perform here in the next couple weeks and he gets on that opening day roster or at least proves enough to be called up maybe around Memorial Day weekend, I would wait till that call up and then maybe flip right.
I disagree with you. I sell right now because you're taking a substantial risk if he does get called up or he does make the 40-man. He makes the opening day roster. He starts opening day and he goes 0 for 12, 3 for 54. Then there's no way you're getting $2,900.
Well, I think you flip. The moment he gets on a major league roster, flip it.
Before he even takes an at bat.
I would do that.
So you're
yes.
like he is gonna be our opening day shortstop.
Yeah, those couple days.
You sell it. I think you're right because if he is labeled opening day shortstop, and you have like
Huge
about
bump.
a week,
Yeah.
you're probably looking at an extra $1,000 there.
Yeah, and I mean, I call it the Mike Zunino effect, but there's been a lot of guys that fall into this category. If you look at Bowman prospects, 90% of them sell better as prospects than they do as major leaguers. It's just because it's the hype, and I no pun intended for the show here, but it's right behind my head there is the hype precedes it all. It's almost like better that the guy doesn't play because the hopes of what could be for him precedes what he actually will do on the field. Now, there is cases, obviously, that doesn't ring true, like Mike Trout and Ronald Acuna and some of these other guys. But those are unicorns compared to the, 90 to 100 to 150 prospects we have each year. In the last 10 years, we've only had maybe 10 that have outsold their prospect price.
One that comes to my mind is only a couple years ago, but Aristides Aquino.
Yeah.
Remember, you can get hit at one point. His autos you can get for like under $5, and he came up, hit a bunch of home runs, and his cards were selling for
Like $300, $400.
They're like close to $500. So it does work the opposite way sometimes.
Yeah.
But same thing with Acuna. Like Acuna wasn't the main draw.
No.
It wasn't until a year after that product came out that his cards were going through the roof.
Right. Yeah. Especially when he started getting some buzz.
I do wonder if maybe after a year of Wander mania here, really where his Bowmans haven't really gone down. His rookie cards are going up, and I mean they've kind of settled, but still for like a rookie card out of Series 1 and those parallels and numbered cards out of it are still selling for huge amounts. That maybe, like you said, maybe some people are going to hang on to Bobby Witt saying, "Oh, he is the next Wander, he's the next guy." But you guys mentioned it, like that is the exception, not the rule here.
Exactly.
Very, very few guys carry the hype from Bowman all the way into getting into Series 1, Topps Chrome, all that stuff.
100%. And lastly, number one on my list, the guy that I shouldn't even be telling you because I should be buying him first before I tell you guys, so you guys can go and buy him too, Riley Greene. And at $613, I think it's a steal. He's going to be probably playing with Torkelson. Those guys are going to be Tigers. They're going to be leading the charge for the future for the Detroit Tigers. And I think that's just a really good price. Great-looking auto. The kid is very talented, and he's only 21. So he's got some, he's younger. He's younger out of a lot of the guys on this list. I think he's going to have a lot of time to and they're talking about him possibly being on the team this year too. So the Tigers hold him in high regard, and I think at that price, it's a great investment. So that's why he's number one on my list. I think he's like 7, 8 on Fangraphs and Baseball America. But I think, at that price, it's great. And that just sold March 21. So I think I got to think that those prices are very similar on some of his stuff. And if you're buying a raw one, it's probably close to $200-$300. So you want to take a chance on a raw one, or maybe one with a little bit lower of a grade and get in even a lower investment. I think Riley Greene is the guy. And I think 2019 Bowman draft is also undervalued with Rutschman, Riley Greene. We got Brett Batty in there. Josh Jung's in there. There's a lot of guys. J.J. Bleday, if he pans out. There's a lot of great prospects in 2019 Bowman draft. I think it's being underlooked by the 2020 Bowman and then the 2021 Bowman draft. So I think it's kind of a lot of people are forgetting about that set.
Yeah, I mean, I like what the Tigers are doing. Kind of reminded me a little bit of the Astros, 8-10 years ago. They're doing it through the draft, and they're kind of hitting on these what look to be can't miss prospects. Torkelson, and I do got to say, Spencer Torkelson, one of the best names in baseball. That's a good baseball name. Torque. But yeah, Riley Greene, and then you add Casey Mize at the top of that pitching staff. They're gonna be good, and they're gonna be one of those teams where they are going to go out and be able to spend that money on a prospect like we were talking off air, or not a prospect, but a veteran players to plug in with all these prospects, and they could be one of those marquee teams to beat in about 3-4 years.
And refreshing myself on Riley Greene's stats, rookie ball batted .351. Last year batted a collective .301 with 24 homers in 124 games between AA and AAA. I think the only problem here is the strikeouts. He had 153 strikeouts last year. So obviously, but he still hit for average. So you don't see strikeout guys hit for average that much.
That isn't a stat that I think we look at now in today's baseball and really put that much stock in it. Some of the best players in the league strike out a lot. It's kind of what they're told to do.
But it's interesting that he had 153 strikeouts, but batted .301.
Yeah.
That's usually you don't see that, right? He's still making contact.
To Dan's point, yeah, it's not modern baseball just doesn't work that way anymore. You look at the strikeouts, you go, who cares? And also, he's young enough that you think he can grow out of that as well. I do want to ask you guys, because I am pretty shocked at how his value compared to the other guys on this list, and I've seen Riley Greene ranked as high as number 4 ahead of Spencer Torkelson in some prospect lists. Is this just a matter of when there are two big guys on a team that the hobby just kind of gravitates to one?
Yep.
And they kind of latch onto that, and stats be damned at a certain, maybe up to a certain point, that's the guy that we have picked him. In this case, we have picked Spencer Torkelson, number 1 pick. I get it. And Riley Greene is the second guy, and the price is going to suffer because of it.
Yeah, I mean, according to these articles, the Tigers are ready for Riley Greene. I also think the factor is, to your point, is Riley Greene 2019, Torkelson 2020, right? So
there's a recency bias.
It's more recent. I think there was more collectors that jumped in 2020 than they did in 2019, and they just forgot about 2019 draft.
I also think you're looking at what Cody said. Number 1 pick.
Yeah, absolutely.
Number 1 pick. That will carry with Torkelson for a long time.
And especially if he proves it, then you're talking about him in the same breath as Chipper Jones and Ken Griffey Jr. and Adley Rodriguez.
Riley Greene 5th pick though.
Right. Yeah.
So I mean, you're not too far off, but yeah, that number 1 pick status is definitely.
There is we may look back in 5 years and go, man, the Tigers really nailed it those 2 years back to back with Riley Greene and Torkelson.
So if you're collecting Bowman and there's guys that you maybe think should be on this list that you're collecting, put it in the comments below. I want to know who you guys are collecting. I want to know if you agree with the list, and I want to know if you're mad about my list and say, hey, you're off base. Where's Jason Dominguez? Which is a fair point. We should probably talk about Jason Dominguez more, but I felt that it was. I'm going to take the list from the companies that put out Fangraphs and Prospects, Baseball America, and take their list and kind of combine it with what card values are through Card Ladder. So kind of to make my informed decision of like, hey, it's ready. Baseball's ready, and where am I going to put my money? And I'm going Riley Greene. So that's what I came up with after looking at the data and seeing that he's definitely undervalued. But make sure you guys hit subscribe here. Put that comment below. Mojobreak.com is always doing Bowman breaks. So if you want to chase Riley Greene, if you want to chase Jason Dominguez, Bobby Witt, we still got a lot of 2020 Bowman, even though now I'm thinking we shouldn't be breaking it. But we're crazy. We're going to break it anyway, to chase those guys. So check out Mojobreak.com where everything's scheduled and everything's guaranteed to fill.